Welcome everyone to the Children's Book Character Design Workshop. My name is Miki, and I am an illustrator and a graphic designer. And I'm also the illustration community manager at Pixabay. I'm thrilled to have you all here with us. Joining me today is a very talented creative. Her name is Olga, and I'm giving the floor to her to introduce herself.
So, hello everybody. My name is Olga and I am from Belarus. I have two children. My academic background is in literature and linguistics. But when I was on my maternity leave, I've got to know children's books and I decided to learn illustration. And now I'm working as a children's book illustrator. That's it.
Great. It's such a cool background to know about you that it wasn't actually your first um, profession, as
Right.
we say it. Yeah, that's so cool. We've mentioned Pixabay a couple of times already since the start of the session, but what is Pixabay? Pixabay is all about connection, exposure, and inspiration for creatives. Pixabay is a community of artists sharing their work with a global audience, giving and receiving feedback, upskilling with free educational blogs and workshops like this one that we're having today, and taking part in events and contests. As an artist, you can also set up your profile to receive donations or indicate that you're available for hire. For those who aren't already on Pixabay, we invite you to check out how you can use the diverse range of media to enhance your own creative practice, find collaborators, or build a portfolio and contribute with your own work. Please reach out to me if you'd like any support getting your new profile set up. I'm always here to help. And if you've been around on Pixabay for a little while and looking to boost your exposure or improve your creations, let's chat. We love supporting Pixabay artists on their journey, whether it's profile setup advice, content tips, and feedback, or featuring artists on our social media channels, blogs, or website for extra visibility. We're always happy to help. Looking forward to seeing you all on Pixabay. For today's workshop, we will have a little warm-up activity, some lessons on understanding your audience, defining your character, some character essentials, the use of colors and shapes, proportions in characters, storytelling, costume and accessories, and some tips on page and scene integration. Great. To start off, we will be playing a little game about book covers. For this game, I would need everyone's active participation in the chat. The rules are pretty simple. I will show you a bunch of book covers of the same story, but illustrated by different artists. Then I will ask a couple of questions and you can chat your answers in the chat box based on your observations of the images. Okay? So first, we have the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Hopefully all of you are familiar with this story. First question. Looking at these book covers, can you tell me what the similarities are that you can see among the illustrations? What's a common thing or feature that is present on all of these illustrations? Yeah, great. Obviously, the costume, the iconic red cloak or cape. It wouldn't be Little Red Riding Hood without the red hood. Thank you. Now, what are the difference that you can see? We actually have a couple, so just throw in your answers. Somebody mentioned the focus on main characters. What can we say about the characters? Great, yeah, the wolf, no wolf situation. Okay, so notice how the first three illustrations show the wolf with the girl. There's actually a wolf there in the third illustration. But in the last one, it shows another character from the story aside from the wolf, which is her mother. Somebody said something about the art style or the vibe. It seems like the third one has a more of a darker vibe to it. Yeah? Like she's scared in the dark forest, while the rest of the covers show a happy little girl. What else? Can you see something about the setting? Yeah, two of those illustrations show the forest. Um, two show the house here, which is also essential to the story. One didn't show any setting and focus on the characters alone. That's right. It showed different story parts. Okay, thank you so much. Now let's see the covers for the Three Little Pigs. This time, let's only focus on the differences. Yes, the colors are different. The style is obviously different. The different clothes, yes. Different emotions as well. How about who are the characters present? Yes, again with the wolf. So the first three, there's actually a wolf also in here hiding. Three of the covers have wolves. The last one shows their parents. So if you didn't know the story and you're seeing this cover for the first time, you wouldn't even know there's a wolf in the story because the title just says Three Little Pigs. How about the props? What are the pigs carrying? Yes, exactly. So they're carrying different things. The props are actually an essential part of the story, especially seen in the third image. Remember how in the story the pigs use different materials to make their house secure? So one pig used straws, one pig used sticks, and then the last pig used bricks. In the other covers, it just seems like they're traveling, right? Okay, so that's the end of our warm up. Thank you guys for participating and being active. We wanted to do this warm up activity to show how there are different ways to illustrate a story, and the way you showcase it affects how readers perceive it. There are different ways to design a character, especially for a children's book. Today, we will learn all about it.
As Miki has already said, there are different ways of designing children's book characters. And when we start the design of a children's book character, the first and the most important thing we need to think of is our target audience. Because our target audience or the age group we are targeting at will strongly influence the look and feel of the design of our main character. And as far as children's books are concerned, books break down into three major age categories. So the first one is the books for babies and toddlers. This is the age up to 3 years old. And here we talk about, usually, we talk about board books. Board books, these are the books which are made of thick cardboard. The second age category is preschoolers. These are the children from the age of 3 to the age of 7, usually. So, and as you see, usually these are the children who are not able to read, but the books are read to them by adults. And it means that in these books, these are usually picture books. So the category for these children is called picture books. And picture books, so illustrations play the main part. There are lots of illustrations and less text. And while the adult is reading the book to the child should have some time to explore the illustration. That's why these illustrations are more detailed. So this is the peculiarity of this age group. And the next age group is school age children. So these are the children from 7 to 11, 12 years old. And these are the children who can already read. So they read the books themselves. So there is more text in comparison with the picture books, and there are fewer illustrations in them. And when we talk about school age children, we usually talk about chapter books. So workbooks, picture books, and chapter books, these are the major types of children's books according to the age. The first category, board books, which are usually designed for babies and toddlers. So what are the typical features? Usually the graphic style for babies and toddlers, the graphic style of this book is very simple. with few details, with the focus on characters, usually bold, bright colors, and strong contrast. Strong contrast is very important. I will talk about it later on. So very often these books include different interactive features like flaps, cutouts, pop-ups, and common characters for board books are babies, toddlers, friendly animals, and even objects. And here in this slide, we can see a famous example illustrated by a renowned illustrator and author of children's book, Eric Carle. So I'm sure you know this book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. And as you see, the graphic style is simple, the contrast is strong, and the main character is a caterpillar, so an animal. Let's see some more examples of board books. Yes, here are two more examples of illustrated by also renowned illustrators like Beatrice Alemania. So the first example is Have a Nice Trip, Little Boy, and the second one is Little Blue and Little Yellow by Leo Leoni. And here, once again, we can see that the graphic style is simple. There is a focus on basic shapes and basic colors like blue, yellow, black, strong contrast, and main characters. In the first example, it's a toddler. In the second example, it's a circle. So two circles, baby circles. Now let's talk about the next age category. So for preschoolers, we usually talk about, as I have already said, about picture books. The graphic style of picture books in comparison to word books is more complicated, more like colorful. And I would say that the main feature of picture books is that they have more complicated backgrounds with lots of details. So, because while the adult is reading, the child needs to explore all these details on the spread. And very often, so it's a common feature, the main character are very dynamic, very emotional, and as you see in the example of the book, The Gruffalo, illustrated by Axel Scheffler. So very often the main character of a picture book is a monster or an animal or an anthropomorphic animal, and very often children of the same age. So preschoolers are the main characters of these books. And let's look at some more examples. Yes, here are two more examples of children's picture books. Never Not Ever by Beatrice Alemania. And here also we can see that, so the style becomes more complicated. And the second example is Madame Saki illustrated by Rebecca Green. And here the main character of the book is a rope dancer and actually is the girl of the same age or close to the age of the target audience. So the next category is school-age children. So these are the children who can already read. And for these children, we talk about chapter books. Chapter books have a lot of text and few illustrations. And very often, illustrations in chapter books are black and white. So common characters are very often those who correspond to the age of the target audience. So these are children of the same age or slightly older. Here we can see the spread from the book The Secret Garden, illustrated by Margarita Kuchtina. So we see that the main character is a child of the same age. She maybe is 9 years old. There is much text on the next side of the spread. And the first example is from the book My Grandpa Was a Cherry Tree. This is an awesome book. I just recommend you to read if you have never read it before, if this book is translated into your language. Here you can see that illustrations are black and white. This is a very typical feature of a chapter book. We have already analyzed different age categories. And I think that you've noticed that in all these books that we have seen in the first section, all these books were dedicated to different characters. So children's books may have different characters in them, and let's structure them. So the main character of a children's book can be a child, and very often the most common main character is a child. And here we need to remember that for different age groups, so we will have to design different children, I mean, corresponding to their age. So for toddlers, we will design toddlers, babies. For preschoolers, we will design preschoolers or slightly older children. And for chapter books, for school-age children, we will design older children, like elementary school children. So the next category is animal. So the main character of the book can be an animal, or, which is even more common for a picture book, an anthropomorphic animal. I will talk a little bit in a more detailed way later. So also for a children's book, we can design an object or an object brought to life. And the main character of the children's book can be a monster, a ghost, a robot, or, in other words, some fantasy creature. So now let's look at some more examples. So, as I have already said, the first, the baby. This is, so this character, the first one, the baby, is from the book by Beatrice Alemania. This book is designed for little babies. It's a board book. The target audience is toddlers. And the main character of the book is a toddler. The toddler who is going to sleep, actually. So this book is about this routine, before to sleep routine. So the next category is an anthropomorphic animal. So this is a very common type of characters in picture books. And this type of character is very common for picture books, especially for picture books for the second age category. And here we can see an example. So it's a bat, a child bat, but it's an anthropomorphic animal because it, or she, her name is Pascalina. So she's a bat, she's going to the kindergarten, but she doesn't want to go to the kindergarten. And we see that this bat has anthropomorphic features, features which are common to people, to human beings. So like she is holding a cup of tea, she's reading the book. The next in some other illustrations, we see that she's wearing a backpack, she is walking like a person. So a very good type of character, so an anthropomorphic animal. And children love anthropomorphic animals in books. So the next type is a simple animal. Like here, we have already discussed this character from the famous Eric Carle's book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and it's a caterpillar. This caterpillar just wakes up in the morning, then eats lots of different types of food, then turns into a butterfly at the end. So we see that this animal acts like a simple animal. So it doesn't have anthropomorphic features, and animals are very typical of bird books. So this age category, but usually quite frequently met in picture books and as well as in chapter books, like bears and some other animals. And to more, children adore monsters. Different monsters, different fantasy creatures in books. So monsters like ghosts, robots are very common characters in children's books. And why? Why it happens so? It happens because this is one of the very good and very safe ways of how to fight children's fears. Because book is a safe environment where children come across like a scared, he's scared by the monster, but the environment is safe. That's why children love monsters in books. And I would say that this is a very good example of the main character. Here it is a monster, the Gruffalo, from the book The Gruffalo. This is a very successful book and very well known. And the last category is, so the main character of the book can be an object. And here we can see a circle or two circles. Actually, these circles have personalities. They act like children. So this is a baby circle, baby blue circle, and baby yellow circle. They interact, and then both turn into green circles because they played too much together. So here we can see that even simple shapes can be main characters of the books. When we talk about children's books, we need to remember and to know a very important rule. Children tend to associate themselves with the main characters. This is very important. That's why it is very important to develop a strong character with personality. And from the visual side, a strong character should be readable. It means that it should have clear shapes and what is very important, strong silhouette. The main character of the book should be consistent because we are designing a character for a book. It means that in a book, you will come across this character many times, and each time it should look one and the same. So it should be recognizable. So that's why it is very important to develop a consistent character with the same proportions, with the same features. Like in this illustration by Elena Ellis, we can see that there is a sheep, right? And in each and every pose, it looked the same, although these poses convey different emotions, like different poses, but we know that this is one and the same sheep. This is very important. And two more features. So your character should be expressive and active. So it means that it should be able to perform different actions like run, jump, dance, even sleep. And it should be able to express different emotions like happiness, it should be sad, it should be able to cry or smile. So expressive and active, right? As far as the silhouette is concerned, how you can check it. When you've already designed your character, you can check it by make it in black. So you colored it black, the whole body of your character, and you see, is it readable? Do you read it well? So the character, and if your character is readable, so it means that you are successful with your character design. And one more important thing to remember. So the younger the reader is, so the sharper and clearer should be the silhouette of your main character. For board books, for babies and toddlers, silhouette is extremely important. And actually, board books are usually focused on characters, on main characters. There is less background, there is more characters, so you need to be sure that your silhouette is strong and well read. So yes, silhouettes are important as well as colors are important, but there is no rule how to use colors in picture books, in children's books, because usually the color is the question of some illustrators' particular style. Different illustrators have different styles, and these styles are very often based on certain colors, or very often colors are chosen by intuition. But there is one thing which is extremely important for children's books, and this is value and contrast. All illustrations in your book, as well as the design of the character, should have strong contrast, because young eyes notice shapes and contrast first, not details. And especially small children, especially toddlers, babies, they will notice the contrast first. And also strong contrast helps characters stand out from the background and be easily recognized, and especially as far as small formats are concerned. So in board books, in small formats, Contrast is highly important. And here we can see the example by illustrated by Clotilde Perrin. So we see that the contrast of illustration is very high. There is the black silhouette of the wolf and quite light armchair. So one tip that you can apply in your illustration practice is testing your character in black and white. So we can see here that the Gruffalo works well when colored, right? So light, bright colors, beautiful colors. But when we make it black and white, we see that it also works well. But when you turn your illustrations into black and white and you see that the character is not readable, it means that you should change the contrast. You should add value to your character. So this is very important. Value is important as well as shapes are. And the easiest way to start the design of your main character is to think of basic shapes. So what basic shapes we have? We have a circle, a square, and a triangle. And each shape corresponds to a certain emotion it conveys, right? So when we look at the circle, we think of some soft features, approachable. So this is somebody who is harmless, friendly. When we look at the square, we think of some strong, supportive characters, reliable characters. And triangles are usually for dangerous and dynamic characters because it has these sharp angles. This is a very good example of how basic shapes work in a character and the emotions, the feel these basic shapes convey. Here we can see the very first sketch which the illustrator Axel Scheffler made when he sketched the Gruffalo in this way. The art director said that it looks too scary for children. Why does it look scary? Because it has this rugged shape and too many angles, although it's a monster, but it's a monster in a children's book. It should look a little bit more friendly. That's why the illustrator decided to make it more rounded. So to take the circle as the basic shape of this character. And as we can see, the Gruffalo we get to know looks softer just because it has this circle basic shape.
Okay, now we will do our first activity about shapes. I will show you an animated character, and I would like you to tell me in the chat what shape it resembles and if they are perceived as a positive or a negative character. We'll be looking at Disney Pixar's Monsters Inc. characters. But before that, let's review the common shapes that Olga mentioned earlier. Circle is for soft, harmless, approachable, and friendly. Square is for strong, supportive, reliable, and stable. And finally, triangle is for sharp, dangerous, dynamic, and intense. Okay, let's look at Sully. What shape is he? And does it match his character? Is he perceived as a positive or negative character? Yeah, you're correct. He has a square shape. And it did match his character of being, if you watched the movie, he was the protector. Okay, next we have Mike Wazowski. What shape is he? This one is pretty easy. What shape is he? And does it match his character? Yes, he has a circular shape. And it also matches his character of being funny, friendly, and you're right, approachable. I would say he was a positive character, right? Next is Boo. What shape is she? Does it match her character? Is she perceived as a positive or a negative character? Yes, you're right. Round. circular. And it definitely matches her character of being harmless since she's a kid, very vulnerable, soft, innocent, and yes, also friendly. Next, we have Randall. What shape is he? And doesn't match his character. Is he perceived as a positive or a negative character? Yes, his overall silhouette is a triangle. He has a lot of sharp lines. He has a pointed head, sharp teeth, and obviously it also fits his personality of being aggressive, villainous, sneaky. And then finally we have Roz. What shape is she? And does it match her character? You're right. Color also plays a role in the character design and not only shapes. Yes, triangle. She has a triangular shape and it definitely matches her personality. She was stark, rigid, very intimidating in the movie. Okay, so Monsters Inc. is just one example of how shapes can be used effectively in character design for children.
So, right, animators are very good character designers, and we can learn a lot from animators, and we can take inspiration from animations. And so the conclusion we can draw here is that when we draw children, right, in children's books, usually they are based on circles. So we will use circular shapes to design children. So the next topic we're going to discuss will be proportions in character. So when we talk about children's books characters, we usually talk about exaggerations because we need to exaggerate certain proportions to make the character look childlike, to make the character, if you need to, look cute. So what proportions do we usually exaggerate or change? For the main character to look like a child, to look like a child, we change the proportion of the head. So we draw big heads. Usually, very often, we draw big eyes, but this is not the rule. This is more the question of the style, because very often, as you see in this example by Grace Habib, this cat is depicted with just eyes dots, but still this cat looks childlike. But very often we draw also big eyes and big ears. And usually we draw smaller torso, shorter legs, but usually draw quite long arms just for the sake of the action, because our character needs to perform different actions throughout the book. So that's why it is important to remember that we need to draw longer arms sometimes. So these proportions make a character feel cute and childlike. Here we can see some more practical tips of how to change the proportions in order to make your character look childlike. So the smaller the child is, the bigger the head is. This is like the anatomy of the child. I wouldn't say that this is the rule, but this is the tendency which is observed in current children's book character design. So this head to body ratio, if you want to design a baby, you can exaggerate the head. So it means that the body will include two heads. If you want to design a toddler, you will draw 2.5 heads in the body, this head to body ratio. If you want to design a preschooler, you will include 3 heads into the body. And for elementary school children, the most basic head to body ratio is 4 heads, which are included in the body. Let's look at my design. So I decided that this girl will be 5 to 6 years old, maybe 6 years old. But in my personal style, I like designing bigger heads. So you can see that here I decided to use this head to body ratio, which corresponds to 2.5 heads in the body. One more tip which I can just recommend you to use is when you design your character, you may design it in a frontal view, with a frontal view and with a side view, and also you may add these guidelines in the main parts of the body to make your character design look consistent. And as you see here, I decided to add guidelines for head, eyes, neck, arms, and legs and feet. So the next tip, and which I find very useful for the face design to make it look childlike, is relationship between the eyes and the nose. The younger your character is, the closer the nose will be to the line of the eyes. And the older your character is, the sharper will be the angle which is situated close to the nose. The sharper will be the angle of the triangle, because eyes and nose form a triangle on the face. The sharper the angle is, the older the look of the character is. As we have already discussed, especially in the books for school children, for preschoolers, it is very important to work out to design an expressive personality. So that's why we will need to learn how to design different emotions. A character's emotions is all in the eyes and the eyebrows. So the way how you draw and the position where you draw the eyebrows will influence the emotional look of the face of your character. So if you want to draw a happy face, you will need to draw these soft and rounded eyebrows. And if you just look into the mirror, when you are smiling, your cheeks are raised, right? You have these raised cheeks, and that's why your eyes become a little bit narrower. So you will have to design a little bit narrower eyes and lifted and rounded eyebrows. If you want to design a sad face, so usually when we are sad, so all our facial features, they are like they pull downward. Our eyebrows curve inward, like, and they're closer together. If we need to design an angry face, if you look at the face I've designed, I depicted all the features, facial features, closer to each other, closer to the center. Eyebrows closer to the center, and eyes, and all facial features. And eyes look intense and narrowed. Eyebrows point sharply downward. For a surprised face, all features like stretch upward and downward. And very important feature is that you will have these big rounded eyes, and eyebrows will be high and lifted. I would say that these are the main emotions that we will need for a book, children's books, and we need to pay attention to the position of eyes and eyebrows mainly.
Okay, for our next activity, there will be 4 poses of the same character, but they will have no face. Make an expression sheet showing 4 emotions that Olga taught us. So that's happy, sad, angry, and surprised. You will draw on the face, and then you can choose any of the poses for which emotion you want. This is the character. You will draw their expressions. Remember, it's happy, sad, angry, and surprised. We will give you 5 minutes to do this activity. You can start now. Okay, time's up. Let's now go back to the Zoom meeting.
Actually, there are two ways of designing the character. So if you have a manuscript from the author, you will have to follow the story that is in the manuscript. But there are lots of illustrators who work also as authors, so they create their own characters. So if you don't have a story to follow, you can start from the character because we can develop a story and a whole book, children's book, around the strong character. So how to design a story around the character. So for me, so this is the technique I usually use. You need to think of what you really love, especially what you really loved in your childhood. Because if you design your character based on what you personally love, you will be passionate about this character. You will have strengths to develop your character. And here, I decided to show you my list of things that I loved being a child. As a child, I loved, of course, reading books, learning new things. I was a very curious child. I loved dancing, and I loved nature, like trees, birds, animals. Fun facts about animals. I collected fun facts about animals. I also loved everything that is connected with water, everything that is connected with ocean, because I lived far from ocean and I was dreaming to live near the ocean. So I thought about it a lot. And I also loved mermaids. So my favorite fairy tale as a child was the fairy tale about the mermaid. So this influenced me strongly. I also loved collecting small treasures, traveling with my parents, watching movies and cartoons, as many children loved, and cooking, but usually I cooked for my pets, animals. So here, what you can do for storytelling. So making a list.
So our next activity is building our character. So first step is to make a list of 5 to 10 things you truly love or loved as a child. Include anything that excites you. Nothing is too silly or weird. So after looking at your list, build one character from your list. Ask yourself who could live this life or what could they dream about. Please note everything down on a piece of paper. So I will give you an example from my own childhood. Some of the things that I loved were singing. I also love reading books, mainly about heroes' adventures. I love Greek mythology and princesses. So I was thinking my character is a beautiful bird who uses her singing voice as a superpower to save the forest. So that's my list, and that's my character. So you'll make something similar to that. Make a list and think of a character. We will be giving you 5 minutes to do this, and then we will be having a sharing session afterwards. If you have any questions, type it in the chat. Otherwise, we'll set the timer to 5 minutes. We will now listen to your characters. First, share the things on your list of favorites, and then describe your character. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Can you share to us your list of favorites and describe your character?
Right. My favorite when I was young was jumping in the rain and then watching from the hills where the rain was coming. There were rainstorms. So watching the hill, preparing for the rain, then going to shop very early in the morning to buy bread for breakfast, reading storybooks before sleeping, and finally sleeping early so that I can have a good rest. So the character I'm picturing is a little dog that is red in color with gray, not gray, black. Okay, which color is that? Red, a red dog. A red little dog that will display those different faces. That's what I have to share.
Thank you so much, Judith. Yeah, that's your list is very detailed, which is very good. And it's very visual, right, Olga?
Right. And this is awesome because different people will have absolutely different characters and will show to the world absolutely different stories, unique stories. This is what I love about storytelling.
Thank you so much, Judith.
Thank you.
Hello. Is it Mary Lore?
Hi.
Mary Lore?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. It's not easy, but I'm getting out there and see. So, as a child, I was really you inspired me, Olga, because I really liked Egyptian mythology. So, and I've listed as well, like finding treasures, drawing and painting. I was obsessed with cats. I had many cats in my life. Dolphins and observing animals like ants in my garden, insects and stuff. So I came up with possibly an idea of a pharaoh princess and her cat as a pet. And maybe she could go on a treasure quest to find like maybe a golden scarab as a treasure, something like that. I don't know. That's what I was thinking.
Sounds like a lot of fun. So like the cat can be the sidekick or something.
Yes, and I would see it like a funny little character that like the princess could be focusing on the quest, and then the cat would be kind of like a in the background making mischiefs or like something like that.
Yeah, she'll be like the comedy
Yes,
aspect of the story. Yeah. Thank you so much.
thank you.
I
Hello.
think you. Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So links. So these are the five things I like to do most is I read all sorts of books, especially novels and other stuff. Yeah, no, the second is mostly singing. The third one is playing games. The fourth one is sketching.
Mm.
And the fifth one is collecting different kinds of merchandise. So, yeah. The character I made is a young man who likes to read books and he always very introvert person. When it comes with his other characteristic, I could say that he's kinda like a hero, except he uses powers by reading books. He use his ability to read books to help people, stuff like that.
Okay, we love an introverted hero. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Adrian.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi Olga and hi Miki. This is Hamida here. So I wanted to share what are my favorite things. So as a kid, I loved chasing butterflies, then collecting wildflowers. I liked princesses, watching clouds, and I was scared of buffaloes, dogs, and cats. And gradually, I learned to overcome my fear. And now there is a dog who is the main character of my story, and I would love to make a book where he will be the main character, and all the story will be about his daily adventures. So this is how I was planning to go about my storybooks in future.
Great.
I love that. I love dogs and I love adventures.
I overcame my fear, and now I'm a cat and dog person.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
And it seems like you have like a plan to actually create a storybook, which is
Yes,
good. You can message Olga or me if you have any questions about
yes,
creating a
definitely.
children's book. Yeah.
Sure. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello there. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Well, I was thinking that when I was a kid, I loved to play a lot with plasticine, like Play-Doh. So I did my character. Well, the other things were story about ghosts. Also, I love the stories about swords and caves and knights and all that stuff. So my character is a prince made of plasticine that shows to the kids some interest facts about the life, but he transforming into stuff that can example or showing that stuff.
Can you give us an example?
Maybe like how are the cars made of or how they work.
Ah,
So
got
the
it.
prince
Okay.
will
Yeah.
transform himself into a car. So maybe.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, that's a very cool story. And I think that if you draw it, since it's made out of what is it called? Like the Play-Doh thing?
Yeah, like plasticine, like yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna have like a texture feel to it once you draw it, right? So that could be
Yeah.
very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing, Osmar.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. And we loved hearing all about your stories and your characters. Let's continue on with our lesson.
We've just have seen that your characters are very different. So some people shared their characters, and all of them are absolutely unique because we are unique people. And this is the great thing about the storytelling. So, and this is my character. So you see that I've developed a character, a child, curious, quiet, maybe shy. She loves reading, nature. I decided to design my little girl barefoot because I want her to be close to nature or closer to Earth. Perhaps she has some pet because she loves animals. Maybe she dreams of breathing underwater like a mermaid. And actually she likes water creatures. First, when I designed the very first sketch of this character, I thought that she will have wild red hair. But then I changed my mind. And honestly, just because of the contrast, I wanted to add more contrast, more value to my character. And I decided to make her head like more dark brown to add more value, because for me it's very important. I think of it all the time: value, contrast, and all the things. And she's shy but full of questions because she's like a curious person. She likes to learn everything new. That's why I decided to put glasses on her, like to indicate that she's curious. So I decided to sketch this very character in different poses, performing different actions, showing maybe different emotions. And I added the pet, which is a fish. She loves her fish very much. She takes her fish with herself everywhere and even reads books to her, sleeps together with her. So just from your childhood memories, just taken the things that you love, movies, cartoons, fairy tales, things that you love or you loved as a child, you can develop your own character and the story around the character, and even you can build on your personal experience the whole children's book. 2 more sketches. I decided to make an illustration where she's putting on a fish's tail just to feel herself like a fish. And finally, actually, this is the black and white sketch. She decided to free her fish because she loved her too much. So this is the story, little story around this character. As you have already seen, I decided to add some glasses, like accessories, to tell a little bit more about her character. So when we see glasses on a character, we think that, oh, this must be a clever person or curious person, or this person likes reading, right? So what I'm talking about? So costumes and accessories are very important. We can add accessories for the sake of the storytelling. These are the details which tell the story. And especially in picture books, when you draw highly detailed illustrations, when you add details to illustrations. These details, accessories, costumes may add to the storytelling, may convey some meanings. So clothes show personality. For example, my character loves nature, comfort, so that's why I've already said I designed her barefoot. So she also is wearing a denim overalls because it is comfortable. She's not interested in dresses because she's not interested in like all the things that are connected with princesses, but she's interested in everything that is connected with nature, like adventures. That's why she needs something which is comfortable to her. And accessories, like I added glasses, I have already mentioned it. And one more important thing is when very often when we develop a character, this character can be from different cultures. We are all from different cultures, and but if you design a character from another culture, just we need to check if we include some traditional patterns, garments, or symbols. Just we need to check it up and to be careful about these details. I love this example from the book of Elena Ellis very much, because here we can see in this picture one and the same ship, right? But when we add different accessories to this ship, we come up with an absolutely different character. So if we add a little bag and a hat, we come up with a lady, right? Maybe elderly lady, I don't know. If we add glasses and some papers, we come up maybe with some scientist, somebody very, very clever. If we add a backpack and boots, we come up with some adventurous personality. If we add this mask and a coat, we may turn our ship into a superhero and even a sorceress if we need it. So this is the power of accessories.
Okay, so for our next activity, it's going to be about costumes and accessories. So we will use the same fox character we had from our activity 2 about expressions. And then from that drawing that we had where we added the expressions, you will then add 1 to 2 accessories to that character to create personality. So for example, you can add a pair of glasses or what you've seen earlier, shopping bags, anything that will add personality to their character. So for me, I added hat, tie, magnifying glasses to make him look like a detective. We will be giving you 5 minutes for this activity. We'd love to see your finished foxes. So it would be awesome if you could share your work in the Pixabay forums. We'll be sending the link to that in the chat. Let's continue.
We've developed our character, and now we need to think of how to place this character into the illustration. When we talk about page and scene integration, we need to talk about and to remember that it will be a book spread. And very often the canvas will be horizontal because the open book, yes, has this horizontal format. And as you turn the pages of the book, your characters will be moving from left to right. So it is very important to remember that the movement in your illustrations will move from left to right. Here, we can see an example of the sketch of the book spread for some story made by illustrator Anastasia Zababashkina. So what we need to know about children's book spreads, illustrations, that when we draw characters or some background in these illustrations, we need to remember that book is folded, so it's foldable. So there is no need to place anything in the center where there will be default, because it will So the details, if you place in the center of the spread, may disappear because of the bound. Then the next thing we need to remember is that the illustration for the book will surely include the text. So when you design the background with your characters for the story, please remember that there should be some place, some space for the text. And it is better to keep 1 to 2 centimeters clear space around this text block. And two more things I'd like you to know about picture books, about children's books, that there are 2 major types of illustrations for books. This is the full spread illustration, like here in this example. Full spread illustration is usually used for some emotional things or scenes, or for some key scenes in the story. While the second very typical type of illustrations used in books is a vignette, a small illustration. So these illustrations are more often used for some quiet moments and for enumerations. I think that you have seen these children's books with vignettes with some enumeration when the character is performing some action, and there are several vignettes showing these actions. So yes, these are the main things you need to remember about page and scene integration. And I also want to share with you the books I personally love, and I also used references from these books in this workshop. So the first one is Building Your Children's Illustration Portfolio, written by Annie Chen Art. And the second one is the Grown Up Guidebook to Children's Illustration, written by Elena Ellis. And these are 2 great, very good books where you can learn how to design a children's book character, and also how to place these characters into the book spreads. So just I recommend you to use these resources. Now let's draw the conclusion. How to design your children's book character. Just we will go through the main topics we discussed today. So first you need to think of the target audience. As you learn the target audience, you will know the age of your character, and you can decide what type of character you need to design. Maybe it will be a child, maybe it will be a monster, maybe it will be an animal or an anthropomorphic animal or an object. Then you need to think of the essential features, like that it should have strong silhouette, it should be readable, it should be able to perform actions. You need to think of the value, which is very important in children's book. And the smaller the child is, the more value you should add to your illustrations. You can also start the design from the basic shape, like the circle, the triangle, the square. And as you design your character, you exaggerate proportions. So think of the head to body ratio to make your character look childlike, and think of the emotions you can add to your character. And finally, you can take in your personal experience, you can design the whole story for your character. And then you will place your character into the illustration, the spread. So this is it.
That concludes our workshop for today. Thank you so much, Olga, for imparting to us your knowledge and expertise. Here are the next steps in your creative career. Remember to reach out to me if you'd like to get set up with an account on Pixabay and need some support to optimize your account or your profile or your uploads. And of course, if you're already in our community and looking for extra exposure, just message me. As I've said earlier, we'd love to see your foxes, so share it in the forum post so we can comment on that. And then lastly, we highly encourage you to upload your illustrations on Pixabay. Thank you so much for joining us in this workshop. We hope you had a lot of fun and learned a lot. Make sure you follow Pixabay on social media, sign up to our newsletter, or follow us on Eventbrite to hear about all the upcoming events and free workshops, free webinars we have planned for you. That's all for today. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks a lot
Thank
to
you.
all the people who participated, and I hope that you will develop your awesome and unique characters. Thanks a lot.